And the Irish from their own 2. Jeremiyah Love breaks free. Jeremiyah Love trying to go 98. Touchdown! What a run in the first touchdown of the 12-team playoff.
So, just as I expected, Notre Dame completely dominated Indiana. It wasn't close. After Jeremiyah Love broke that 98-yard run loose from scrimmage, you could tell the Hoosiers were mentally rattled. And it looked like two teams that weren't even on the same playing field. I think after what we saw in this first round, the committee is going to have to take a new approach to how they pick the top 12. I think it's clear a Bama, a South Carolina, or an Ole Miss that is battle tested would have gave a better fight. But for Notre Dame, they completely handled business. They fought from beginning to end. They didn't allow Indiana to see even a glimmer of hope. So I want to talk about that game, as well as the upcoming matchup that is now set against Georgia. Notre Dame fans had been dreaming about this day ever since the college football world announced the expanded playoff format. Snow flurries and all-day tailgates, everything you could have ever wanted. From what I heard, this first ever home playoff game at Notre Dame Stadium felt both exhilarating and surreal. Despite the cold December wind sweeping through South Bend, the energy soared. Even through the TV, you could feel that atmosphere. And it spread to the players because they put on about as good of a showing as you could have hoped for. And I want to talk all about it. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 40,000 subscribers, and with your support, I believe that we can get there super fast. Alright, so as I mentioned in the intro, this game started off with a blast when Jeremiyah Love broke one loose almost untouched. As soon as he turned that corner, you knew he was gone. And if the stadium wasn't already electric enough, South Bend was deafening after that. And in my earlier video breaking down what the game plan had to be for Notre Dame, I said they had to get in the Hoosiers' heads, and Curtis Rourke was absolutely shook. And from there, the Irish pretty much just dominated. Looking at the stats from this game, Leonard had 201 yards and a touchdown. He did have an interception, but not a bad game by any means from him. Jeremiyah Love had 108 yards with a touchdown, and Price and Leonard had over 30 yards on the ground. And then in the receiving game, Jordan Faison had 89 yards and 7 receptions leading the way, but it really was the ground game that dominated. They ran right down Indiana's throat from the jump. Indiana came into the game with the number 2 defense in the country and the number 6 scoring defense. The Hoosiers also ranked number 1 in rush defense, number 9 in pass defense, and had the number 8 third down defense in the country. But Notre Dame surpassed Indiana's season average in each of those categories and almost doubled up their points allowed. It was a grinded out type of game for the Irish offense, who jumped on Indiana early and made sure they did what was needed to keep the Hoosiers from climbing back into the game. There were a number of factors that played a role in the offense being able to do what was needed for the Irish to earn the win. Leonard was my player of the game for his performance. Things certainly didn't start off well for him. His first pass attempt was tipped into the air and was picked off, and his second attempt was dropped. But he completed his next 8 as the Irish jumped out to a 14-0 lead. Love was dealing with some flu symptoms coming into this one, but you couldn't tell because he busted that one loose, and nobody on this planet, besides maybe DK Metcalf after an interception, would have been able to catch him. He really showed a strong run after contact ability, and his stiff arm was lethal. From that, Notre Dame's defense established itself as the driving force. Indiana entered the game with a pretty formidable RPO offense and a reputation for methodical efficiency. However, no methodical scheme could generate yardage if the Irish secondary refused to yield space. True freshman corner Leonard Moore blanketed receivers. The defense was dominant, and I don't know what more you can even say about Xavier Watts. He led the team in tackles with 10, and the next highest was 5. The fact that Watt was the one to get the first ever interception in the new 12-team playoff format just felt right. And Jordan Clark really played a phenomenal game as well. He kind of sealed the deal, stopping that 2-point conversion. He had a few other plays as well, but that was his best game of the year. Schuler was flying all over the place. You can't say enough about him. And if I haven't said it enough, shout out to that Irish defense, man. I know I'm kind of going all over the place in this video, I'm just kind of rambling, but one thing I can say that should make Notre Dame's excited is that Notre Dame did not even play their best in this game. They left some points on the field, there were certain things they need to still clean up. The defense was dominant, I can't say that. The defense basically held Rourke to 100 yards-ish, everything else he had was stat padding. The defense literally got so much into Kirk Cignetti's head that he punted in a critical last resort moment of the game. I know the Indiana offense wasn't doing much, but I thought punting there was pretty insane. And I think most, if not all of the internet agrees. The defense tackled so well in space. They were so much faster than Indiana, and that was great to see in a playoff game, because now they get to go play Georgia, who's kind of like the gold standard for athleticism. And they are the program that you think of right now when you think of college football. I don't think anyone really sort of changed their perception about Notre Dame and them not choking in big games because of them beating Indiana. That is what they were supposed to do. In my opinion, Indiana really was not all that impressive. They played nobody, but now against Georgia, a team with a history of success, but this year they have had some issues, this is a game where Notre Dame has a chance to rewrite their narrative as a program. Georgia just has a way of winning. Even when they don't play their best game, they kind of have a little bit of that Chiefs black magic to them. Obviously they have the talent and the coaching, but the ball really has just bounced their way multiple times this season. But you already know, the atmosphere of the Sugar Bowl is going to be insane. Georgia has the location advantage, they definitely will have the upper hand, even though I know Notre Dame fans travel too. And let's talk more about Riley Leonard, because we can talk about the defense and all these other factors, but in the current state of how football is played, the quarterback is the majority of the reason why you win or lose a game. I think Leonard did what he needed to do. He did enough against Indiana, but now this upcoming game against the Dogs is one where at some point he's going to be asked to air it out. I know he can do it, but he just has to execute, because as nice as it would be to just lean on the run game the entire time, which they should try to do, Georgia is an entirely different beast. They're not going to allow 98-yard touchdowns. You're going to have to work even harder to win. I thought Leonard got better week by week as the season went on. Obviously, as I mentioned pretty much every video I make about this team, the NIU loss was atrocious, but along with Marcus Freeman, I thought Leonard really took the role of being a leader. He didn't let anyone get down on themselves. It was all about moving forward, learning from the mistakes, and bouncing back, and that is how Notre Dame has gotten to this point. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about this upcoming game against Georgia. I'm very curious as to what your predictions are in the comments below, but before that, let's take a look at what the guys had to say in their post-game interviews following the win.
Down to the one. Where does that kind of rank among all the passes that you've thrown this season?
It would have been up there if he could have got in, but he didn't. So yeah, I was kidding. That was fun. Our QBGA was like, "Bro, you need to step up in the pocket next time. You know, you get these high edge rushers." And then you know, kind of I did it, and this guy got open for him. But I was itching for it to come open because we called that play earlier, and they spun to 2. But you know, that time it was quarters, so we got to take advantage of it.
I want them to celebrate that. I want them not to look past tonight. Celebrate tonight. Celebrate this victory that they worked tremendously hard to achieve and obtain. And then I told them they'll have tomorrow off. They can take one day off, and we'll get them back on Sunday. But then we'll start thinking about the Sugar Bowl and the opportunity we have at hand. But you don't get enough time in life and enough time in situations like this not to enjoy it. And I was reminded by that by a couple people I talked to, but also just talking to the team.
That's really all I got for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, and let me know what you'd like to see next. And until then, I will see you all later.